What's up, guys, and welcome back to the TG Faction War, where today we're gonna get into round 8 and get 2/5 of the way through the tournament. Now, unfortunately, I am alone, at least for now. I hope I'm not alone for the entirety of it, but we're gonna go ahead and get started with Medieval versus Friday Night Funkin'. Now, with this matchup, yeah, all the smaller units already dead. Although Servant's almost already dead too. So whatever that's worth. Oh, cannon catapult shots doing work as they should. A lot of the units on Friday Night Funkin' will die to just a few cannon shots. Catapult shots, not cannon. Yeah, like that one just there, that one there, did a lot on him. You have Tricky fighting a king and then ruining all of the priests, all of the healers. Boyfriend dead. So, I mean, good job, Medieval Faction. Took out the frickin' bait shit. Now he's in love. Okay. Well, I didn't expect it to go well for the Medieval Faction, so yeah, Friday Night Funkin' gains another point. Next up is going to be Ultra Cabin versus Animes. So yeah, Luke's gonna get in there, shoot down the lightning. Javen coming in next. Giflet rain down the arrows, Luke down. Javen's still going, taking a lot of fire damage as, well, fire damage is just broken. Giflet getting tossed in there. Rain down the fire on Nezuko, so that's one kill. Almost, is that Tanjiro? Tanjiro dead. Gotta get rid of Sebastian. Oh, I mean Itachi as well. Itachi's gonna be a big issue. None of those arrows hit. That's really unfortunate. And now it's just really a matter of time until, you know, Giflet goes down. And down goes Giflet. Anime gains another point. And at the end of this, I will be showing the standings. Next up is going to be Evil versus TF2. So, yeah. Spy gonna get in there. Spy dead. Very unfortunate. You have Deathbringer over there fighting the Demo Knight, and Soldier came in and just murdered. What's the Void Monarch doing? Because the Void TF2 is missing a lot of their power. Oh, that's unfortunate. He was so low. Who knows? Maybe they still got it. Soldier, you good? Soldier? Don't shoot the ground. You can't rocket jump in this game. Yep, he did. He did teleport onto Soldier. How many times can he do that? Because he's got like 3 shots left in him. Up every time. The ad'll be close, and then the Tempest Lich should not survive a rocket to the face. Oh, is he gonna do it? Is he gonna do it? Oh, Void Monarch down. Oh, Soldier, your reload speed was just a bit too slow. However, we can just try again, see if the outcome is different for this setup. And the Void Monarch has already transformed. Not sure if that's good or bad. Because if they can take out the Void Monarch fast, then, or if they can, Tempest Lich is down, so that's good. Oh, Soldier dead. Medic down. Demo's the only one left, and Oh, he wasn't the only one left. Sniper's left. Sniper down. Okay, let's change things up here. Let's bring the other three in, and then leave Demo Knight and Soldier because they actually do a lot. Oh, a Hwacha. And Void Monarch's transformed, but I mean he's got a lot. Oh, okay, he's got a lot to go through. I think TF2 does win overall, but then we can also give a point to Evil for winning a different time. Now it's time for the Light Faction versus Souls, and Isaac has joined us in the chat. Not sure if you're going to be able to hear him because reasons. Yeah, Souls is missing, I think, Determination and Rainbow. I think, yeah. Perseverance down, hates the only one standing over there, and then for whatever reason, Justice doesn't like having a shirt. It glitched out on him, so they won that one now. Let's just straight add in the other two. Determination and Rainbow, will they make the difference? I mean, Rainbow is currently being frozen in time. Chronomancer is transformed, but it's not like that's anything the Souls aren't used to. Determination has time manipulation himself. I should do that. So yeah, they won pretty easily there. Now let's see what happens if we do this. This is round 3, the one that'll decide it, I guess. Integrity, Justice, Rainbow, and Determination against Good Faction. It's even cost. There goes Battle Granny, there goes Integrity. Come on, Justice, you have to kill the Divine Arbiter. Okay, well, you didn't quite kill him fast enough, but it might work. That was a lot of damage. Oh, and then fall damage. That's not good. Determination, Distraction? Determination has enough health to just kind of walk up to him. Frozen, not a lot of damage done. Oh, you don't want to group up like that. Can Determination survive long enough for Justice to get the kill? And Determination is down, so it's now just Justice left. And Justice died. Good Faction gains another win. Next, we move on to the Renaissance versus Pop Culture. Oh yeah, oh, the Force just ruined them. As it does. Hey, Isaac, you wanna know something I saw earlier?
Yeah.
2 shorts that were really funny. Darth Vader versus Kylo Ren, and Darth Vader versus
Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren would die, and Ren would instant die.
But here's the thing, it was really funny because it was just categories. Like it wasn't animated to be like anything, but still, it was like one of the categories for Darth Vader versus Kylo Ren was literally Vader.
Vader. Vader category. Oh, nah. Not the Vader category. Oh, I'm scared now.
And like the thing is, Rey got 1 point against Vader. Speed. Which, I mean, fair. Have you seen Vader move? He's not the fastest thing out there.
Yeah.
got better ways than all of you. You were the king of the jungle. And well, when it crawls you off the top from the biggest bad guy. Oh wait. Okay, next up we get to Pirates versus Doki Doki Fanon City.
I am heavy weapons guy, and it is about drive. It is about power. We stay hungry. We develop. It's all fun and games till the. It's all fun and games till the heavy eats his freaking machine gun.
Bro, imagine if that was one of the machine guns.
Crunch.
Like, A, what would it be called? And then he can just, like, eat it for something. I don't know what he would eat it for. So, unfortunately, the Pirates are not going to beat Doki Doki Fanon City, giving DDFC another point. Next up is the Dynasty versus Legacy. Now, something tells me, I mean, they kind of just dodged the cannon shot. They didn't really avoid it, but, I mean, deflect it, like he said. I would be surprised if they could. Tank down. The Hua just killed one of the Monkey Kings, which, you know, that's not good. And all of the other Monkey Kings are stuck. And now they're just bombarding the Super Boxer with everything they have. You can't just rain down hellfire and hit nothing, Watches. That's not how this works. Oh, Monkey King down. You can't just... One arrow out of 3 Hwacha volleys hit him. 4 Hwacha volleys. Okay. Well... Can they even hit? They can, so... Dynasty takes game 1. That was close enough for a game 2, I think. Tank's still going strong. Tank down. One of the Monkey Kings took a lot of abuse. Now they're all challenging Thor. Thor down. Gandalf down. Monkey King still going.
Honestly,
we have a tiny Super Boxer this time. Yeah, something tells me he's gonna take a while to get over to the Watches. I mean, he's technically, practically invincible. Against Watch. Okay, we're not watching that. He'd just be sitting there stuck for like half an hour while Watches just miss on him repeatedly. So Tank going in, Tank down, Boxer down, Gandalf about to be down here soon. A couple of Monkey Kings are down. And by a couple, I mean almost all of them. The Super Boxer has been held in place by the Banner Bearer. That's not good. Now, how did the Poacher get free? Blow dart down. Now they're just gonna rain fire down on all of them. And now it's just Super Boxer versus Watches. Okay, another volley if he can't make the distance. Okay, and no, he cannot. Dynasty defeats the Legacy. Next up, we get to the Ancient Faction versus Undertale crossover. Now, this one...
what?
Jeez. This one could go a lot of ways because, I mean, the Ballista kind of... everything but the ballista doesn't exist. The only thing that exists is the ballista. They're definitely strong enough to kill everything in Undertale crossover, but they don't have the fire rate to do so. Now, this were the ballista minigun, however.
I love the ballista minigun and go.
The one-shot minigun. Yep. So Undertale crossover gets another dub. Next up is going to be the Spooky Faction versus RLS. Demon Horror gonna just teleport back. Yeah, okay. All the Reapers are down already. Okay, okay. Chain reaction starting. That was a fast win for RLS. Now, this could go one of two ways. Either All For One teleports behind the Bird Gods, kills them all, and MHA dominates this battle. Or he teleports off into the Abyss, leaving Bird God to just murder all of MHA. So, he's gonna teleport behind them. Commander Cluck, are you able to push him back enough, or? Yeah, because Commander Cluck, that's what you need to do. Don't get focused on the other one. Okay. It literally just came down to whether or not All For One managed to actually teleport behind them, because, well, I mean, as soon as I remove All For One, it's not even close anymore. Just Bird God is going to just murder all of MHA. So, I mean, it is MHA's win. I had to give it to them because it was fair cost, all units included, you know, things like that. Oh, they got one Bird God, and I think they'll get a few more. Yep, that's another one, probably. Yep, there goes another one. But yeah, without All For One, they were screwed. Next up is going to be Historical Faction versus Undertale AUs. Yeah, this one wasn't gonna go well. Undertale, the AUs just have too much Gaster Blasters for Riot Police to really make a difference here. The Queen as well.
Stuff Trust.
Yep, there goes a lot of them. And there goes all of them. AUs gets another dub. And next up, we get to the Wild West versus Undertale. Guns. Yep, you got something, something, guns, something, something, yeehaw, something, something, Texas. So what do we got over here? They're dragging around Undyne. I think that's Undyne the Undying there. Red, you know, Red getting shot up. So
hey, puppy, what you doing, puppy? Come here.
Azrael just murdered all of the quick draws or gunslingers. Quick draws and gunslingers, so that's unfortunate. Frisk couldn't dodge Deadeye. Sans, are you gonna Gaster Blast them? Because like Gaster Blast would do wonders like that. Oh, Undyne's in. Undertale gets another dub. Next up is going to be the Viking faction versus Miscellaneous. Yeah, we got all the Vikings just jumping in. Oh, they have like no range units. They've lost. Because you can't kill a unit like Satan with melee. It's just not something you do. Because you try to go in after him with melee, you get put up on a spike and left out to dry. That's just what happens when you try to fight Satan. And I mean, that's what happens when you try to fight a few other characters as well. It's not just Satan.
I'm here, puppy. Oh my god. This little puppy who's not even bigger than my name or Argus was running around this room and hit his face.
Just a few Jarls left. And there they go. Miscellaneous gets...
He hit his face.
Anyway, next up is going to be Elements versus Holidays. And there go all the elves. they're now being swept up into a tornado that deposits them into the firestorm, which will proceed to then burn all of the holidays alive. There goes another lightning strike. There goes another firestorm, and it didn't even have Earth Emperor this time. And next up will be Tribal Faction versus Deltarune. Oh, Noel's actually going to get a lot of freezes off. Snowgrave Root, here we come! Raining down rockets on mammoths. I mean, you know, just a normal Tuesday. Just travel back in time to the prehistoric era, grab a rocket launcher and fire it at a mammoth. Do you think a mammoth could survive an RPG? I don't think so.
Depends if he had time to prepare for it.
What's he gonna do? They have tiny little brains.
Use their child as a shield.
I don't think that would matter all that much.
If they threw it fast enough, it would.
It definitely doesn't matter here because Deltarune wins. So this is not gonna go well for the Farmer faction because Firelord N over there is just gonna, you know, and also the Obsessed and the Brute, or no, the Overseer are just gonna, they're just gonna teleport behind the Scarecrows and just murder them all. And in the meantime, everyone else is going to die, so yeah. I mean, have they killed anything? I don't think the Farmer faction killed a single unit. Now it's time for Evertail to fight against Miscellaneous 2. Miscellaneous will have 2 summons, so let's see what they get. No, that's not a Sensei. I don't know what that was. Was that the Reaper, or did something just die and then cause an explosion? Or was that one of the created units? I can't tell for the life of me what's happening right now, and I made everything here. They just going through units left and right here. Bahamut, how you doing? There's 2 Bahamuts because we need to get to 80,000 cost in order to make things, you know, pretty intense and fair. No, just, you know, get batted away with a tree. Here we got, what is that, Nagi fighting like 5 different Neeks at once. And he's dead. So again, Bahamut's the only one left. And he's not having a fun time. Miscellaneous 2 gets the dub. Next up, we get to our most expensive match yet in Gaming Server versus the Ultimates. I left out Dynasty Ultimate because that would have made things a bit too costly for the Ultimates. And it is just going to be a slugfest for a while here. Summoned a few, get some crows out there. I'm hearing some of the presents happening. Heard one of the spooky ultimates, I think, die. We got Evil Ultimate just, you know, chilling here, fighting like...
Being evil!
Yeah, we got Evil Ultimate just like, you know, chilling, fighting like half of the Gaming Server by himself and winning because, I mean, he's just Chad.
Alright, Balloons TD has to update. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. 5 years remain, approximately 5 years.
Bro, Evil Ultimate is just a Chad. He's fighting like 6 of the 6 really strong units and then just, you know, killing. I mean, he's finally dead, but, I mean, look at all of the blue that's alive over there. That's a lot of blue. Oh, and all the light ultimates are still alive. This is not gonna go in the way of the Gaming Server.
Wait, Brony Server gonna lose?
See, Yan, you got 1 Yan still alive.
Why did you put Yan in the Gaming Server?
Cause that's the only place I could think to put her. Okay.
Sadly,
those 2 are dead. Now we got
is that
what?
sadly at the end of that?
I think I'm pretty. Did I not say sadly at the beginning? Or unfortunately. Okay. X30 back here, you know, fighting a bunch of things, yet being, you know, X30 with a gargantuan HP pool. Got DJ over there, and I think Joshua Flighttail all the way back there. Oh, I mean, that's just something cool that happens. If you have a unit with, like, a good projectile deflect, fight Divine Arbiter Orbs, it causes quite the show. But yeah,
Hey,
obviously the
hey,
ultimate
Jace.
won. So this is what I'm talking about with blocking against Divine Arbiter Orbs. Oh, it didn't work very well. Let me do one. It's really cool sometimes when it works. It's not working. All right, gaming server, come back. That was rude. Yeah, something like that. It looks really cool when it happens and it works right. When you have a lot of Divine Arbiter Orbs just, you know, hit something and then they just deflect all of it and then continue deflecting all of it. Next up is going to be other games versus, what is this? Neo Undertale crossover, and something tells me that it's not going to go well for other games because they decided to leave Fish Bungeon out of round 1 because that was the closest I could get to even cost. But in round 2, we'll bring him back because I think they need it. Down goes Susie phase 1, so phase 2 looking. Asha doing well, you know, doing Asha things. Teleporting around. Over here, what's it looking like? It's not looking quite good. It's not looking very good. Can they kill Susie? They might have been able to, but yeah. This is not gonna go well. Who's left over here? Dust? Yeah, no, it's over. They win round 1, but now they...
Where is Jace? I'm gonna kill him.
They have booted Siren Head in exchange for 4 Ultra Fish Bungeons. And it's already making a difference. You're just gonna wander around killing things until eventually probably getting hit by a love arrow because Fish Bungeon does not have a projectile block. Imagine if he did, though. I mean, it would make sense, kind of. The Aegis Shield would be like his flexing. Got over here. Still going well. No. Gotta reload, though. Sniped Rage, or I mean Lust. Yeah, maybe if Elise screws Archie over here.
Oh boy.
Alright, Jace. Let me tell you something. Remember how I said Discord has 1 of 15 updates
Yeah.
you needed to do? Haven't done those updates.
Down. Oops.
Alright, Kill, we play.
I wasn't recording that. Oh well. Keeper's Rise beat up the secret faction. Really wasn't close. Divine Arbiter Orbs kind of murdered everything. And now, let's get to our
Yes, I will allow it to make changes to this device.
Now it's time for our standings, and I'm gonna try and give a reason as to why they are where they are. So, starting with the ones that have not won anything. The Farmer faction, with its best unit being the Scarecrow. It's not enough to only have one unit with a slow reload time be your best, especially when your one job, to protect it, you suck at doing. The tribal factions best unit is probably the Mammoth. I mean, I haven't seen any of them units do anything really good, but Final Faction is just their biggest unit doesn't really do anything. Their most consistent good unit is the Spear Thrower, because it's a ranged unit with a decent range, really good damage, but also a slow reload speed, and it's just not enough to have just one. And sometimes the Mammoth will just, cause some collateral damage. Next up is the Medieval Faction with the King. Now, despite all, the King, Archer being some of the best 1v1 League units in the base game, it doesn't really translate over well. I mean, it doesn't translate over well for all the created units. It probably would for all of the base game units, as the Medieval Faction is kind of designed to work as a unit rather than as individuals, which I have been making them do. The Viking Faction's best unit is the Jarl. They still also have a 0.
Bro, it says play game, and now it's saying Balloons GD6. It's not responding. Let me play Balloons.
Oh,
And so the problem with the Viking Faction is they only have one ranged unit who doesn't even technically deal damage. The Ice Archer doesn't technically deal damage. So it's essentially an all melee faction, meaning against literally every other faction in the game, they're gonna struggle to make distance. Next up is the Wild West with the Deadeye, and pretty much the reason for that is just they're too frail to do much. Deadeye is a really good unit, having a very long range, a very respectable reload time, and quite an amazing damage output for only 900, being up there right next to the Ballista as a god killer. But it's just not enough. They need more than just one unit to take down other units, and well, all of the cannon fodder kinda die instantly. Next up is the Historical Faction with the Riot Police, and this one's easy to say why. It's not enough to only have one unit who can fight. This is different from the other ones, who have one unit who can do well. The Historical Faction has one unit that can even fight. All the others just die. Finally is the Spooky Faction with the Reaper. As for this, they're frail again. All of the Spooky Faction units are very frail, meaning they die very fast for their actually kind of high cost for a base game faction. So these were all the ones that have 0 wins and 8 losses. Next up is all the factions who have only won one match. First up is the Holiday Faction, with their strongest unit being Satan Claws. And this one is easy. They have too few units to really do anything with. There are a few other factions that have very small amounts of units and can put up some numbers because their units are good, but as for the Holiday Faction, only half of their units are good.
Okay, so play social, what's the...
Next up is the Ancient Faction with the Ballista, aka the God Killer. This is really the only unit they have that can actually put up some numbers, being the best unit in the base game 1v1 league. However, here, with units that teleport behind it so often, it just can't do anything. With such a long reload time, almost 9 seconds, it just can't shoot often enough. I put Zeus behind it to try and give it a chance to be able to fight back, but even then it just doesn't work well. Next up is Ultra Cabin, with its strongest member being Javen. Now this one is kind of a shocker that they're doing so badly, but also kind of not surprising either, because Ultra Cabin only has 4 units, just like the Holidays faction, who also has only one match. The difference between them is that Javen and Giflet are actually pretty good units on their own, but bringing Luke and Inktrisk into this, it's just 2 good units, and then 1 meh unit and 1 terrible unit is not a really nice combination to have. This and the fact that Giflet does good against crowds and Javen does good against 1v1s, but, you know, if one of them dies, the other one struggles with whatever the other one doesn't counter. They both need to be alive, so if one of them goes down, they both kind of go down. The pirate faction has the Pirate Queen. Now this, I think it's just too much range. Normally that's not an issue, but there's a lot of Thor Lightning going around in the tournament. Like, a lot. And most of the units in the pirate faction do die to just one Thor Lightning. Only the Captain and Pirate Queen don't. So that's essentially only 2 units you have to fight afterwards. The Renaissance faction is probably the Da Vinci tank because, I mean, I think it's the only one that's been living long. I don't even know what the real problem with the Renaissance faction is. It's just that they're kind of bland, I guess. Like, they're all just basic units with basic weapons and basic attacks. None of them even really have abilities. Only the Da Vinci tank has one, being spinning. The Dynasty faction has the Hwacha, and their cannon fodder dies, and then the Hwacha sometimes shoots the dragons or the Monkey Kings. Sometimes the Hwacha is inconsistent. I mean, the Hwacha is just inconsistent with its aim in general, but sometimes it'll hit and just murder whatever it's wanting to, and other times it'll only hit 1 out of 5 volleys. And when I say 1, I mean 1 arrow. There are, how many is this? 4, 5, 10. There are 60 arrows per Hwacha volley. If you hit 1 in every 5, that's 1 in 300 arrows you're hitting. That's not very good. Next up is the Legacy faction, and I think the tank is their best unit. But even then, it's close between the tank, Thor, and Gandalf. And you'll notice that I did not mention the Super Boxer, because the Super Boxer is way too expensive for what it does. The Melee Master does his job better for 4,000 less. Super Boxer just doesn't have enough health to justify being 10,000. And then finally, just a little special one. The Good faction is the only faction so far with a record of 2 wins, with the Divine Arbiter as their best. And this one kind of makes sense. Sacred Elephant, Divine Arbiter, and Chronomancer are all pretty good, with the Battle Granny able to tank a lot of hits. The Divine Arbiter orbs are, as we've seen, stupidly strong, and that's really why they've won too. There are 3 factions that have 3 wins. First up, we start with the Evil faction, with the Void Monarch probably being their strongest. Now they're much more melee-oriented than the Good faction. They don't have a unit like the Divine Arbiter, which is why I actually think that the Good faction will end up being higher than the Evil faction later on in tournament. But the Void Monarch is a strong unit. Don't get me wrong, it can fight a lot of things, but sometimes it'll just crumple and die. Then other than that, the Deathbringer's decent. Tempest Lich has too little health. The Mad Mechanic, I don't even think you can classify that as a ranged unit. Shadow Walker, too little. I mean, they just have too little health for a tournament like this. Exiled Sentinel, they're way worse than the Celestial Aegis, and the Void Cultist is actually kind of meh. Next up is the animes with Itachi Uchiha, and now if Nezuko, Sebastian, and Itachi go down, the rest of the units in anime don't really fight all that well. The Souls have Reina as the Rainbow Soul as their strongest unit, and as for this, they're all, again, kind of bland and basic, only having maybe 1 ability each, and it's just not enough as a created unit in this tournament to have only 1. Moving on, we have the factions that have won 4 matches so far, so they have 50% win rate. The Secret faction has Artemis, and the Secret faction, there's just so many of them, there's so many abilities. Cupid can just incapacitate entire armies. And the Ice Giant, so big, it's so tanky. Artemis deals out so much damage as well. So it's just that they're really expensive as well. And if like those 3 units go down, a lot of them small units, like almost half the faction, can't really fight all that well in a team setting like this. Then is Doki Doki Phantom City with Yato. I don't want to. I have no clue what to say here. I really don't. Next up is the Animals faction with Bird God, and this one is quite a shocker because Bird God is actually, in my opinion, one of my strongest units I've ever created. Easily able to take down entire armies just by itself, and it's essentially just the farmer faction, but they do their job a lot better. Their job is just to protect Bird God, because as long as Bird God stays alive, the other team loses. Now, if any unit teleports behind them, they're in for a rough time, like we saw with MHA and All for One this round. Just being able to just instantly go after the strongest unit they have is quite impressive and kind of kills the Animals' chances of winning. Next up is the other games with Ultrafish Bungeon, and this one, it's because Siren Head costs a stupid amount. Almost a third of their faction goes to a useless unit. If they didn't have Siren Head, they'd be winning a lot more. Gaming Server with X30, he has so much health and just tanks a lot of things. Gaming Server is another one that's really expensive, and then only a few, like about half a dozen of their units can actually fight, which equates to like a third of the cost. So it's really just because they're expensive that they have a 50% win rate. And then Evertail with 4 wins and a tie. Evertail is kind of all over the place. There's a lot of abilities going around. Also, this is Callan, their strongest unit in my opinion. Bahamut is Siren Head, but just able to actually fight. And again, they're just too. I think they're just too expensive to get that top spot. Next up is the only faction with 5 wins, Pop Culture. Now, for this, Steven, Luke, and Yoda aren't really useful for the faction. Emperor Palpatine and Darth Vader are really the only 2 units that do well here. And they do quite well. Darth Vader has a lot of health and can dish out a lot of damage, and Palpatine has amazing area control with all the lightning he has. And then we move on to the only faction with 6 wins, being Undertale, with their strongest unit being Azrael Dreamer. Now, with Azrael Dreamer, Frisk, Sans, it's a really powerful trio, and also one of the cheapest power trios we have, at only 5,500, which is just bare. Which like half my units, like 24 of my units cost more than those 3 combined. Azrael Dreamer is a very good 1v1 unit. Frisk can also incapacitate enemies and can actually like dodge, so there's that. Sans has great crowd control with so many different abilities, but he is, Sans 1 HP. The biggest thing holding Undertale back, I think, is Undying the Undying, their most expensive unit and the tankiest unit in tournaments. It costs 15,000 and she can't make up the distance sometimes, and that's really a bad thing when you have 3/7 of your army just put into this one unit. And then next up we get to the ones that have 7 wins, starting with the Undertale AUs. We are in the top 14 factions now. The AUs, there's a lot of them, and a lot of them have a lot of abilities, like Cross Kara, who's on screen right now, Murder/Dust, Horror. They all have a lot of good abilities for 1v1s, and then Ink, Underswap Papyrus, Bad Time Duo, they all have amazing abilities for crowd control. So they have like a dozen units that are really good. Next up is Friday Night Funkin' with Sarvent's Demon Form. There's a lot to say about Friday Night Funkin'. You've got Garcello, you've got Sarvent Demon Form, Sarvent Normal Form, Tricky, and Tankman. It's the 5 units that really do a lot in a tournament like this. Sarvent, especially before this season started, would have just completely demolished literally every single faction that they fought against, being able to clone herself with Divine Arbiter orbs. Tankman does very well with crowd control, and same does with Garcello and Tricky to an extent. Tricky does decently against 1v1s as well, same with Sarvent. overall, it's just there's a lot about Friday Night Funkin' that's here. Next up is the new and improved Deltarune, and I just chose the Giga Queen. With their new big, strong units like Giga Queen, Spamton Neo, and like Task Manager to an extent, they can do a lot better in against single targets or crowds. And there are a lot of factions that are relying on crowds here. Next up is Undertale Crossover, and I personally think that Danielle has been doing pretty much most of the work here with really good 1v1 abilities. Now, there's a lot to say about Undertale Crossover, and I think they are actually the best faction to have translated from the 1v1 league into the faction v faction league. Like, a lot of factions are struggling to work together. However, Undertale Crossover, there's quite a few of them that work together. Danielle, Rink, and Epic Shift Kara kind of tank, while Skelly in the back shoots bazookas down, dealing massive damage. Even Isaac and Steven could be involved there as well. Sage could also be there. There's just quite a few units that work really well together in Undertale Crossover. And that's why they have 7. Only they would be undefeated if not for an unlucky loss against the Elements faction. The Elements have Lava Lord here, and it's quite easy to say why they're doing well. It's because, well, there's only 5 of them, and they're all quite good. Thunderzar is amazing, Lava Lord is amazing, Wind Warlord is good, Ice King is good, Earth Emperor is good. They're a cheap faction, and they all can put up numbers, as opposed to like all of the other cheap factions who only have like one unit who can put up numbers. And then next up, with 7 wins and a tie, is the Ultimates faction with Evil Ultimate. And I mean, this shouldn't come as a surprise that they're one of the best factions in number 9. They're literally called the Ultimates. I don't think if anyone would suspect that they would be doing bad. And then there are still 8 factions who have not taken a loss yet. There would technically be 2 more if I gave the win to Ultimate, or if Undertale Crossover got a bit luckier. But these all have definitively no losses. We're going to start off with TF2 with the Pyro. Now, TF2, very cheap, pretty cheap faction at only 13,000. Engineer can put up some numbers with a summon. Pyro can put up numbers. He's like a top 50 unit in the 1v1 league. And Heavy can push units back a lot. Now, it seems like I'm being hypocritical by saying that these 3 units are enough, but it's because they're the entire faction as a whole is cheap. Next up is RLS with Blade. Now, RLS is kind of in the middle at 30,600, and Blade, Demon Horror, and Naomi to an extent can all put up numbers. Plasma Sands too. Blade is like one of the, probably in my opinion, a top 8 unit for 1v1s, and he can also do really well against crowds. Kind of a almost perfect unit, really. So it makes complete sense that they would be a contender for the top spot. I do think TF2 is not going to continue being undefeated soon. Next up is My Hero Academia with All For One. And this one, for All For One specifically, is just how do you really fight him? If you're a ranged unit, he has a teleport. If you're a melee unit, you get close, he starts putting you up on a spike. You just gotta kinda hope to outrange him or have him focus on someone else while you outrange him. In the meantime, you've got Shoto and Dabi just summoning fire everywhere, as well as All Might, Izuku, and Bakugo just one-punching everything they see. Next up is Miscellaneous with Satan, and as far as Satan goes, it's pretty similar to All For One, but he's just tankier. And Miscellaneous, there's a lot to them. Miscellaneous has Katana Master, who's a good unit, Melee Master, who is an awesome unit. I'm really proud of that unit. And the new and improved Satan just kind of kills things. They might lose sometime in the future. I don't know. I don't even know who it would be to, but I don't think they would be truly a contender for the top spot because their range units aren't good. And then next up is Saving Our Country with Firelord N. And this one, there's a lot. They have a lot of abilities, especially with Firelord N. 3 units that teleport behind the Obsessed can just create infinite clones of herself, which can really cause an issue if you don't have good splash damage or area control. Firelord N, really big, tanky, hard to kill. Just, he doesn't have Legacy Impale like Satan and All for One do, so it's much easier to outrange him, but he has even more ways to make up the distance. Then we get to someone like the Brute, who just punches things really hard, like absurdly hard, like you're dead hard. And then we get to Miscellaneous 2. I put Fox Neek up here, and there's a lot of Neeks in this faction, which they are hybrid assassins created by the Human Hybrid Organization in order to make humans better. However, this organization is extremely corrupt and doing some dirty things, so all of the Neeks have abandoned it, broken free. And they are trained assassins, they have animal genes in them, and some other things. But anyway, they all have, there's a lot of abilities going around in Miscellaneous 2. It makes pretty good sense that they would be up here. I don't think they'll be a contender for number 1, but they will definitely be a contender for top 10. Next up, we have Neo Undertale crossover with Susie. Susie Phase 2. Now this, there's quite a few units to talk about. Lust, Jesse, and Archie all have the ability to just make your units fall in love with each other. And that can really hurt. And then both Susie phases can just completely convert an entire army into their own. Damie Phase 2 has crows, and crows are really stupid strong, as we've seen from Bird God. And Fire. Fire's also really strong. Then there are some smaller units like Elise and C who do really well. Zarin, Zach, Brendan as well up there. And finally, the Keeper's Rise with the Light Mage. And now for the Keeper's Rise, they're an expensive faction. There's a lot there. A lot. They have a few summons. They have time manipulation, fire. They have like a lot of things. But with that being said, that is round 8 in the books. I thank you all for watching, and of course, have a good day.